Welcome back to Truth and Transparency. Here is an Idaho4 Atlanta Investigates live. Some documentary coverage. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. I want to point out a couple things. So back in June and July of 2023, Ann Taylor goes ham after the prosecution the state wants to file for a protective order for the IGG, okay? And it's like, wow. First of all, you go to secret grand jury, you indict Brian Kober off of what I believe was the grand jury was lied to 150%, like no doubt about it. Mowry testified at the grand jury acting like he did the work, tracking down the phone of Brian Kober and like the car all moving in sequence, all that shit comes out. It wouldn't come out until obviously a year later in 2024 and then again in 2025 that Mowry had nothing to do with that. He falsified reports, things of that nature, misled in reports. So another thing, so basically what's happening in June and July is Brian Kober has not waived his right to a speedy trial. And Moscow, the police department, Latah County, they're running around, scrambling around to get Ann Taylor these requests because she's doing motions to compel. And so what we can see here is that they start writing up reports. All right, so take a look here. July 5th, 2023. So this is in the mix of everything being filed, going back and forth. Like, you're not going to get a protective order on this. You're crazy. Like, this is your first original domino. You're not hiding this case. Yada, yada, yada. So in the mix of that, just the filings of it, not even the arguments, I want you guys to pay attention to what's being filed in, take a look. So on June 15th, 2023, now Andrew Fox, not on the witness list for the state, on the witness list for Ann Taylor. Why? Well, here we go. On June 15th, 2023, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. This included 1,464 5-minute videos that range from 12:55 on 11/13/2022 to 17:22 hours on the 17th. Okay. Using Axiom Investigate version 3.1.0 software, I was able to basically stitch the videos together to multiple hour clips. Okay. Now, why is he doing this? Well, I'm of the opinion that Ann Taylor has not received anything to do with 1112. Why would you do this? Well, is Ann Taylor going to receive this? Because she's been asking for things, right? Now, we're all obsessed about finding out these cameras. Are they accurate? Could they be messed with? What the hell's wrong with these cameras? And a lot of people are pointing towards, well, hey, we have this bell, or hey, we have all these cameras, and in order to sync them up, how did the FBI go about, or even how did anybody go about any way to validate and corroborate that the timestamp on the video is accurate? For example, in the Brian Drake case, if you go back and check out my work in that case, those body cams were off an hour. Exactly. Like, there's no doubt about it. The 911 call comes in, and then when they get to the scene, okay, they're an hour late from what the 911 call was, and all the CAD notes. All right. So, and then I was paying attention to, okay, Brian Drake had a clock in his office. So I was trying to look at that. But at the end of the day, when these officers are running around in Bonners Ferry, in the same type of thing, it was daylight savings just a week prior. So Brian Drake's murder was on the 12th of March. So it was a week before that when they did the spring forward, and these cameras didn't spring forward yet. Okay. But anyway, you slice and dice it, whether you say they did actually spring forward, then somebody's messing with CAD notes and times. I mean, there's no 911 call from Jennifer Drake on her cell phone. I mean, it's pretty wild. But at the end of the day, there is an issue, and I found it, pointed it out. And then when I go to get clarification and I ask Boundary County and I ask them about it, like, I just have a simple question. These body cams, who can answer to the fact that they are showing that they're an hour off? Is that accurate? Or is the body cam right and there's a bigger problem, right? So, and they want to act like they don't have to answer that question. Well, they will, and they do. So here we go to this case. So while we were waiting for a trial to happen, when I was covering the Dr. Moore case and finding out that, holy shit, the Idaho State Police people, the same people that were investigating the Idaho4 case from Idaho State Police, they're the same people that did his case, Dan Moore's case, and they suck. They suck. They're watching videos and literally making an Excel spreadsheet and not right. Like, I mean, there's a car right in front of you. How are you not, hey, timestamp, this vehicle pulls out, this vehicle pulls out, this vehicle comes in. If anybody just does that simple, like watch and report, there is no way that you could write up the probable cause warrant or an affidavit that Mike Van Leuven did, because he would have saw with his own two eyes that a vehicle leaves before this white truck comes, and the person that was leaving is saying that they saw the white truck parked in Dr. Moore's or Dr. Drake's parking lot, and that they couldn't leave a certain way because of it, and they had to go around a different way. Well, anybody that would have watched the video would have said, what is this person talking about? The white truck isn't even there yet when they leave. So nothing could have been blocking the person from leaving because the white truck comes a minute later. But then a bigger question is how did they even know that a white truck came? Unless one of the two people didn't get in the car when it left and that they were still there. That's how. And it was the last person to see Dr. Drake alive. And it was also a person that was giving an alibi, more or less, to Jennifer Drake. And that Brian, they're extending the life of Brian Drake. Kind of like in the Idaho4 case. If the victims were killed at, let's say, 3:00, the only people that are actually making it so that the victims are still alive at 4 or 4:20 are the surviving roommates, the last people to see them alive. That's what Aldora Gatchell did for the Brian Drake, Dr. Moore case. Aldora Gatchell extended the life of Brian Drake because she said, well, when we left, he was, we left, we said goodbye and got in our car and left. But what she continued to say is, when we left, there was a white truck with its running lights on. And so we couldn't go out the one way. So we had to go out this other way. And then when you actually get the video, and then there's like a ton of videos, but you have to go through a lot of videos to get to the one where it's like, okay, we have both angles here so I can see. And I'm like, holy shit. She leaves and that white truck is not even there yet. And when Idaho State Police made this Excel spreadsheet, the same thing that they did basically in the Brian Colbert case when they came with when the feds did this, when he made his report, where is it? The Hill report, when it's going through and it's at this timestamp, car enters. Like, that's basically like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's in written form. The Hill report for the FBI with talking about all the cars that are coming by, the headlights leaving, all that type of shit. They did the same thing in the Dr. Moore Brian Drake case. Well, that was Leslie Lehman, Detective Van Leuven, same two people that are involved in the canvassing and interviewing and that were in the Idaho4 case, same exact two people from District 1. Gary Tolson, same exact person. Those three main people, Ed Jacobson, 4 main people in Brian Drake's case, the same people are in the Idaho4 case. It's right in front of your faces. Like, you cannot be filling out a paper or filling out an Excel spreadsheet and not realize that the testimony, when I say testimony, the statements given by a witness, hey, she says that she leaves, but look at this, guys. When she leaves, there's no white truck there. But then a minute later, then that's when the truck comes and goes and does a loop around and kind of like parks and does exactly what she says it does. But she's not there to see it, because if she got in the vehicle that just left a minute ago, she can't possibly see this. So how does she know that this would have happened? That's what a detective would be saying to the people sitting at the round table, right? Instead, something comes over these detectives because they go and bury it. They literally just act like the white truck. They just take out of the equation where Aldora's vehicle falls in the Excel spreadsheet. So they just remove it. Okay. And it's the same thing that they did here in the Idaho4 case, when they want to just tell us about the vehicle, the one vehicle. Okay. And they also did what? I believe they removed Linda Lane. The dumpster video, they completely remove it. They act like it doesn't exist after 3:30. Well, how convenient. Well, is there something that they missed when you're like fabricating all of this shit? Because you got to cover your ass because of all the fucking shit that you've been doing. And you're going to eventually mess up if a bunch of people are watching, if there's all eyes on this. If nobody's there to look and dissect the information, then you're going to get away with it every day, all day, every day. So here, Andrew Fox, welcome. Like, his name is in hardly any reports, hardly any. And now Maury's been doing all of this stuff. So here, Andrew Fox now comes in, and Andrew Fox's job is to take all of these 1112 King surveillance videos, okay, and do what with them? The 1112, and put them together to give them to do what? When did Hill write up his report? So hold on. Let me get to my shit over here. I got reports everywhere. Report. Here it is. Okay. Boom. God, yes, Leanna, you're so smart. Okay. This is the FBI's investigation, and this is the Hill report. Okay, this is the big daddy. This is daddy. This is daddy to us, okay? The date drafted 2/6/2023. The date of this entry to make this a report. So he did a draft of it, and now he's putting it in his report. And when I say this is the big daddy, this is basically like an Excel spreadsheet, but you're just talking about the Excel spreadsheet. And you're talking about every single movement, right? So I said to myself, well, I want to go back and find out when Hill did everything, because why in the world would Andrew Fox, okay, need to do any of this? And what would happen because of it? Like, could you potentially mess shit up? Could the version that, basically Hill made his report way before, obviously, let's do the dates. This was written on the 5th of July, but it's for something that he did on June 15th. He wrote a report on July 5th. All those days later on what he did. But here you can see that the FBI in no way, shape, or form needed it to say, hey, can you get me all that stuff so I can finish my report? So right there, it's proving that this report that he wrote up, any type of information, where he got it from, what he used, how he used it, did not possibly come from Andrew Fox doing what he did, which is really important, right? Because Andrew Fox is dealing with the number one camera, and that's what this is all about. Is the number one camera here is everything to do with 1112 King Road. And so when I'm going through this, I'm like, why is he doing this? Well, maybe they need to give it to Ann Taylor, right? Here, we're trying to make it easier for them, so we're going to give it to Ann Taylor. Well, then I said to myself, well, why would Ann Taylor have him on the witness list? Because Ann Taylor believes that it's bullshit. Also, Ann Taylor probably needs to ask some questions like, okay, well, there's audio on this 1112 King Road surveillance camera. There's audio. And just like all of us have listened to body cams, and now, Ann Taylor does this for a living, has researchers that do stuff for a living. Do you think that they would have caught the things that we've been catching? Yes, I do, but maybe not everything, maybe not all. So here, these little clips, 5-minute videos, and it goes all the way though to the 17th, 11/17. So I said to myself, well, wait a second. If on June 15th, 2023, he's saying, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. Somebody, I was provided. Okay, who provided that with you? Like, who provided that to you? Where's that? Ann Taylor's going to ask who provided that to you. And he's going to say, I don't know. I don't remember. And is it that you don't remember because you didn't put in your report? And you wrote your report how many days after you actually did it? Okay, so we have no idea who handed you. How do you know that they were the entirety of the 1112 King Road videos? How do you know that? Do you describe how they were given to you? Were they thumb drives, like SD card? Do you make any note of that? No, I don't. So your report doesn't tell us who gave you this material, right? Your report doesn't tell us how they gave it to you, right? Correct. Okay. And you wrote your report up, 15, 20 days later? Is it because in the time frame of that you wrote your report, you didn't even remember it then, or you just don't remember it now, but you did remember it then, but you just didn't write it down? Like, what the fuck, right? What is really happening here? And then Ann Taylor wants to find out, okay, so you have no idea if you got the entirety of anything, because there's no chain of custody here going from like where you got this from. You didn't go get it out of evidence. You didn't go take it out yourself of evidence and sign the evidence out to then make whatever you're trying to make here. Like, what is this? What are you doing? Like, this report is absolutely crazy when you break it down. When you break down this report, and Andrew Fox is a detective. I have Andrew Fox as a detective. He works at MPD. Why is this needed? So Ann Taylor is going to put it out to the jury so the version that I got, that you sent us, is this the version that I think that she was going to have to voir dire him, put him in front bright and early. It says as soon as the state wanted to go to using any type of cameras. Objection, Your Honor. We need a voir dire. Where do these exhibits come from? Are they from Andrew making these into these hour long because they were 5-minute clips? Like, where is this coming from? There's an SD card. Gunderson. Then you have to sit down with Gunderson. You got to bring him in. Gunderson, you were given an SD card. Do you guys see how these problems? And this is what's not supposed to happen. This is what's not supposed to happen, meaning like you take care of all of this before you go to trial and where there have been like rulings on inadmissibility. And so I have no idea because we don't have the briefs, because we don't have the motions, we don't have the filings. I have no idea how Ann attacked, because you can attack things multiple ways, but you could also do what Alan Jackson did. When I say attack things different ways, I mean to get them suppressed. But there's also a time that you don't want to suppress certain things because you want to use it against like the department. So it's like, does Ann Taylor want 1112 suppressed? Or does Ann Taylor want to use 1112? Like how the Sally Port was used in the Karen Reed case? So now the second thing comes to mind. Now, you're saying that this runs all the way until 11/17/2022. How? An SD card was taken out. We saw it with our own eyes on 11/13/2022, and the girl hands it to, so you're taking this SD card out of the camera, right? And you're handing it, right? Okay. We have no idea when it. Then they go back to the house, because then you have to go get Rosinski's report. You have to go get Aaron Morris's report. And you have to talk about each time that they went to that house between 11/13 and 11/17. And so my questions, which would be like, is how do you have just straight time from 11/13 to, I mean, it's specific, 17:22 hours on 11/17. I mean, it doesn't say that it breaks off at all. It says it's from 12:55 until 5:22 p.m. on 11/17. How? Where is that coming from? Is that from, are all of these clips from the cloud? Do you see how none of this is explained? How are you writing up a report like this and it just makes no sense? This report makes zero sense. This report doesn't tell anybody who would read the report what the hell, what did you do? On June 15th, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. How are you provided that? When did those get put into evidence? So then let's look at our handy dandy evidence. Let's see when King Road gets put in. It gets put in twice here. I'm going to show you. So an Ann Taylor would have came over here and looked at items of evidence and when stuff was getting booked in. Here we go. This is one of them. King Road videos. Wait, 7/5/2023? Yeah, well, what is that? Oh, wow, Lana. Well, isn't that the date of, yeah, it's the date of this report. Okay, you guys ready for this? Are you ready? Are you sure? That's why you guys come here. Wait, this wasn't entered into evidence until 7/5/2023. So there's no way that this person named Andrew Fox could have ever taken them out of, checked them out of evidence to make something, this is literally being put into evidence for the very first time. And it gets the itemized stamp of 771. Okay. King Road video. It says just video by itself. Video. 771. 7/5/2023. So Ann Taylor's like, is this what we have? Because there's another 1112. Let's see where those are. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back to the day of the. Here we go. 11/13. So Gunderson, he doesn't have any reports about any of this. From item 56 to or 44 to 56, no SD card, right? No. Okay. Then we get into stuff like the blood swabs. Now let's go to we have a steak knife, vape, blue phone. No. Cell phone. Okay, no. What day are these? Okay, 11/14. Okay, no. DVD, no. Receipts. SD card on 11/17. SD card. Whoa! You guys ready for this? So let's go back to Andrew's report. Where did this SD card come from? Now, on June 15th, 2023, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. This included 1,464 5-minute videos that ranged from so it was just this time to this time, which we know is 11/13 to 11/17. Now, using Axiom Investigate, he says what he did, which was I was able to stitch the videos together to multiple hour clips so that he could get this down to having 17 videos. Okay. Wow. SD card on 11/17/2022. An SD card gets put in. Well, I can't wait to find out who 203. Who put that SD card in on 11/17? Where was the SD card that was taken on 11/13? Where was that from 11/13, 14, 15, 16, 17 until 11/17? There's more. Then let's see if there should be another SD card. Yes. Item 172. We have another SD card. So we have item 213 on 11/17. Now we have another SD card on same day, 172. SD card. Okay, ready? Detective Mowry. on 11/17. He writes up this report, and he says it's for 11/17. And he says, okay. Make this bigger. In the image showing the camera, it was found that the resident was at 1112 King Road. The SD card from the camera was brought to the Moscow Police Department, but the file system of the card was not recognized by any of the forensic computers. The card was returned to the owner and reinstalled into the camera. When? Who? What? Okay, wait, what? When was this brought in? I just showed you guys all the items of evidence. The first time that there's an SD card that actually goes into evidence, what he's going to try to say is it never went in. Okay, well, hang tight. To preserve any potential evidence on the camera, okay, I asked this person if we could seize the entire device, including the SD card, to which she stated yes. So this person said that she would not be back into Moscow until approximately November 28th, 2022. I directed this person to contact me when she returned to her residence, at which time I will attempt to connect the camera back to her Wi-Fi router and view video from the device. Next. Lawrence Mowry. On November 17th. So on his November 17th report, he doesn't mention any of this. Okay. And he wrote this report at 5:19 p.m. Now he has to go back, remember, and he's like, okay, on 11/19, the date that he's writing this. On November 13th, I was informed of a possible surveillance camera located at 1112 King Road. Corporal Ryan Snyder had spoken with one of the residents at this location, PC, who had a camera using the Home Eye Pro app on the porch of the dwelling. Snyder provided me with the username and password for the Home Eye Pro account associated with blank, like associated with this girl's shit. I asked Snyder if this video was stored on a cloud-based system for me to view, or if blank could download a copy of the video. I was provided a 32 GB SD card from the camera. When, Detective Mowry, were you provided this? And from who? But the file format was not recognized by any of my forensic computers and prompted me to format the disk. Corporal Snyder informed me that this girl could screen capture the video from her phone, and the card was returned to this girl to enable her to assist in the acquisition of the data. What? On November 17th, I requested the assistance of Officer John Rosinski to recontact this girl and see if she could provide the video from the camera. Officer Rosinski contacted her, who stated that she was in Boise, Idaho until November 28th. Officer Rosinski contacted her. Officer Rosinski sent him, like, it doesn't even make sense. Period. It says period. Then look at this. Officer Rosinski, and then this girl. Officer Rosinski, let's just say her name's Carter. Officer Rosinski Carter sent him a video of a male subject walking by the camera at approximately 3:20 hours towards the dumpster. On Officer Rosinski contacted me. Look at this. Towards the dumpster. An Officer Rosinski contacted me and I spoke to Carter and requested permission to remove the camera from the residence, and she consented. Based on my training and experience, I know many of the different video surveillance cameras use a first in, first out storage retention system. This means the newer data overwrites the older data. I was concerned data may be lost the longer the camera continued to record footage. I requested assistance from Officer now Aaron Morris. So why are you now asking Morris to do this? You have Rosinski on this. Now I'm going to bring Morris in? Yeah. To go to the residence and unscrew the camera from its location. The camera screws into a common light bulb base, commonly found on patio porch. Officer Morris returned a short time later with the camera and the SD card. What? So, sir, all of this was done on what day? On November 17th. Yeah. You wrote up a report on November 17th. Mm-hmm. And you wrote it on the same day that you did all this. You're like, oh my God, I have to hurry up and sit down at my desk and write this report. And then you decided, hey, this is what you guys are going to go and do. Go do all of this. After I write this report up, now I can tell you go do this. And now I'm going to be able to write a report, 2 days later to say, hey, this was the rest of what happened on 17th. You don't write reports the same day ever. And here you write a report like literally right after. So which one of these SD cards is the one that Gunderson got? I don't know why, but this person, Paige Carter, just rings a bell to me as the person that was living there. So since you had the Home Eye app password and username, did Ann Taylor subpoena the Home Eye app username and all of this stuff to see what IP addresses accessed that on the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th? Did she do that? That's the first thing I would have done. Is subpoena the Home Eye Pro app people with this account name and password, and that I would want every IP address that's signed in. Where's Officer Morris's report that he went there and did this? So SD card, item 135 SD card, 172 SD card. Okay, so here you have one on 135. There's an SD card. Then you have one on 172, and then you have 213. 3 SD cards. Okay. And the first SD, they're all on the same day on 11/17. Item 203. Item 213. Item 172. There's 4 SD cards. And item 135. And okay, let me make sure there's not any more. Okay. Perfect. Where does it say if they went and took the camera? Oh, here we go. Now, item 243 is King Road video. On the 19th, King Road video. 216 is camera. On the 18th is the camera. Okay, so check this out. You went and got the camera on 11/17. Okay, yes. Aaron Morris to go over to the residence and unscrew the camera from its location. Where's Aaron Morris's report that says that he unscrewed the camera from the location? Find me that. Next, if you did that on 11/17, okay, so here's the camera, and then here's King Road video. So we have more. 216, but this gets put in on the 18th. So did this get, you put this in temporary? Was this just chilling in somebody's car? Like Blaker just left stuff in his car for 3 days before he did anything with shit? So you pick up the camera on 11/18, or you pick it up on 11/17 rather, according to this, but we don't have Aaron Morris's report saying that he did anything of the sort. And what are the King Road video? What's a King Road video? Is that the video of the screen recordings that she sent you? Is that what we're talking about there? King Road video. Okay. Then if now check this out. In order for this dude, Fox, to do a goddamn thing, when he says, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos, is that because Maury, when he actually got one of these SD cards, he said he formatted one? Did he make a duplicate? Because how could you be possibly given something if it's in evidence? You have to go get it yourself. You have to check that out. Like, how could you just be given something? And then where's a report of somebody saying that I went to the evidence locker, signed out, blah, 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 so that I could give it to Andrew Fox, so because he's going to do blah, blah, blah. Right? Well, let's see if we find that. Good luck. 21. Oh, wait, we have more. Oh, hold on. Back up. We got something else. On November 18th. So, I need this. On November 18th, I again attempted to view the contents of the SD card. Which one? I plugged the card into a right blocker and it still was not recognized by the computer. You didn't write it. You didn't say that you did any of this and described any of this. I used FTK imager version, blah, blah, to make an image of the SD card. Now that the data was on a drive recognized by the operating system, I then used Axiom to parse data from the card. What? In reviewing the data, I found over 13,000 individual images from the card. They appear to be individual video frames from the camera. Boom! So here's Andrew Fox. Where you at, Andrew? While attempting to view the data on the card, I received a forwarded email from this person whose sister is this person and resides at that residence. The email stated that he was viewing the video remotely when Officer Morris removed the camera. How would they know who Officer Morris is? Dude, Ann Taylor better have checked this out, because I think that they're making all of this shit up. Because they just went there and probably did it without any of their permission. Who the fuck knows? This is absolute craziness. Why aren't you getting a search warrant? Why aren't you obtaining a search warrant and just taking the device? Like, taking the camera, what are you doing? And this is why Ann Taylor is like, no wonder Dateline got this shit. Because this is all inadmissible shit. Here, you guys can have this shit. We're not going to be able to use it. Everybody was just watching this stuff remotely. The people and the family members, everybody just had this passcode to do what with it? If this person's viewing it remotely, then, I mean, how can you change timestamps on this? How do we know that when you downloaded what you downloaded and what we're looking at is the right time? How do we know that that's circling and everything that's going on is truly at the time that you're talking about? Because you want to know what I don't hear in any of the 1112 King Road video that we've seen? I don't hear any of the bells. Do you hear the bells at 4? Do we hear them? Are they at 4? Is it 4 bells? None of this is how you would do any of this. If you, that camera, I mean, even Pennsylvania State Police still went and got a search warrant for Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s aunt's camera across the street. Like, even though she said, yeah, you can have whatever, they still went and got a search warrant. Like, what are you doing? So, again, something that I think is crazy is go and look through every single report that Morris wrote up. Where is Morris talking about that where is there a report where Morris is saying that he unscrewed the light bulb? Have you guys seen that, heard that, read that? When have you seen that? Let's take a look. I'm looking for that. I have not been able to locate that. Ryan Snyder. Aaron Morris. Okay. His first report, report 6. Nope. His second report. On 11/14, I responded to 1122 King Road in regards to a follow-up. I took note of who came and went from the scene. Idaho State Police detectives, as well as Sergeant Blaker, Detective Vargas, and prosecuting attorneys entered the residence. Ooh, I think we found it. I think I found the G. Where's that name? GC. GC arrived shortly after with her dogs to attempt and locate a blood trail from the residence. ISP entered the residence at 11:25. Detective Vargas entered at 11:26. She was inside for an hour. Detective Vargas was in there for an hour. Blaker entered at 11:27, and he left within 20 minutes of the scene. Like, well, inside the, they're in the house. Prosecuting attorney Ashley Jennings and William Thompson entered at 11:30, and they left at 11:53 out of the tape. Jennings just couldn't get enough and re-entered at 12. Sergeant Blaker re-entered at 12, and Detective Vargas. So they all three went back in at noon. This woman with her dog, her canine dog, came through at 13-16 hours. Why didn't they use their canine? Because he probably doesn't do that. There's just a drug dog. Now, so that was that. Then Gunderson never says that he took an SD card. Here, Aaron Morris. His third report is report 15. And he jumps to 11:15 now. And he's talking about whatever he was doing there. Let's see. On 11:16. On 11/16, I responded to blank at Main Street. A person of interest, blank, blank, lived at blank. I asked if any of their tenants tried to get out of their leases recently. They said no. They said Showalter started his lease on 7/18/2022. Next, I responded to this location to see if blank utilized the internet services they provided. The employee gave me a paper with all tenants from 500 Queen Road that used it. Showalter did not use the service. On 11/16, Aaron Morris said, I was asked to follow up with individuals connected to victims or people of interest. The names provided to me were MB, DB, NF, Natalie Fitzgerald, JF, and CB. I called the Dean of Students office for phone numbers for this person. Aaron Morris is really important to Ann Taylor. I passed the information on to Captain Barrett. I also TLL'd F and B. I got a number for F and called him. He provided his home address in Boise and said he was willing to speak with the detectives. I forwarded that information as well as TLO of B to Corporal Payne and Corporal Tyson Barrett. Tyson Barrett wrote up no reports except for one. On 11/16, DS and JH from the DOS office came to ISUB, stated that he had information regarding the homicides. S first stated that the DOS office had a debrief to check in on everyone. S said that Jack DeCore name was brought up. Next, Justin Dean, 1819, John Rosinski. Nope. John Rosinski over here. Nope. Aaron Morris. On 11/17, I responded to the University of Idaho for the Kimby Dome. That's where I interviewed JN. JN's the one that walked into his dog, and the first time he noticed the front door to 1122 King Road on north side of the building facing campus was wide open between 9 and 10. He stated that when he walked back to his apartment around 11, the front door was still wide open. He said that he just thought that they were, and said that he was unsure if the information was known or not, but thought that he should report it. This got buried. And that's not that Reagan kid, remember? Okay, Lawrence Mowry, so no 25. Okay, Aaron Morris. On 11/18, I was asked to conduct a follow-up on SB. Okay. Aaron Morris. Tyson Barrett, nope. John Rosinski, nope. John Rosinski. On 11/21/2022, I was asked by Detective Adams with the Idaho State Police to book 2 cigarette butts into evidence that he collected. Why? Why wouldn't Blaker do it? Detective Adams brought the 2 cigarette butts to the Moscow Police Department evidence room where I watched him place them both into 2 separate ISP envelopes. I sealed the envelopes with evidence tape and signed the tape for both. The chain of custody was filled out on both envelopes, says John Rosinski. I booked the 2 envelopes into Moscow Police evidence and requested that they be sent to the state lab. I took photographs of the cigarette butts and attached them to this case file. Items 252 and 253, they would then be signed immediately out by, what time was this report? What time did he do this? They'd be immediately signed out by Blaker because he's going to take those and some other things to Boise, drop them off, and get the vial for the sheath. Tyson Barrett, nope. Where's Officer Morris? Yeah, nothing. So over here we have Officer Morris is not going to write up a report if he didn't do something. But let's say that he did do something. They would have been like, hey, I told you to do X, Y, and Z, and you didn't do it. Or I need you to write a report about that. So then you would have to go through all of this, all of these 314 reports to see if we can come across an Aaron Morris. So you just type in Aaron Morris and see if he entered in a report like way after the fact to say, oh, I forgot on this day I went and unscrewed a light bulb. Okay, again, guys, remember, we don't talk about other creators in chat. You can't follow the rules. So keep the chat. I have a rule about that. People like to take screenshots of the live feed and they try to twist what's being said, and it gets. That's why I have that rule. We don't talk about creators in chat because of that reason. So, Lano, what's the point of all of this? Well, the point of all of this is that Detective Mowry writes up a report and says that he told Officer Morris to go to the house to unscrew this camera. Ready? We have pictures of the camera gone. Remember? We have pictures of the camera gone. How can we possibly have pictures of the camera gone and it's on 11/13, 11/14, 15, 16? I mean, the camera's gone. But here, Mowry says, I requested assistance from Officer Aaron Morris to go to the residence and unscrew the camera from its location. The camera screws into a common light bulb base, commonly found on patio/porch fixtures. Officer Morris returned a short time later with the camera and the SD card. What? They're trying to make it seem like that the SD card was in the camera. Okay, and that Officer Morris is the one that went and unscrewed it and brought it to them. Okay, so see right here, camera, SD card. Well, I'm sorry, camera, swab. See, King Road video. Where's the SD card? If the camera and the SD card were one together, camera, where's the SD card? On the 18th. Why are you putting it on the 18th? You got it on the 17th. What? Lana, where is the SD card? Well, here. Ready for this? Then you have an SD card popping up on 11/20. But you have SD cards being entered in because they have photographs from the crime scene. But there is no report of Aaron Morris saying that he went to the house and unscrewed the light bulb that has the camera and signed that in. Because what you would have is, I don't know, Aaron Morris writing a report saying that he did that. So who does Ann Taylor put on her witness list? Aaron Morris. Aaron Morris to say that I never went and got that. I didn't. Also, why is so when he says that I requested assistance from Officer Aaron Morris to go to the residence and unscrew the camera from its location. The camera screws into a common light bulb base, commonly found on. Officer Morris returned a short time later with the camera and the SD card. Well, I just went through. And what report is this? Oh, this is the one that he writes up on 11/19 because he realizes that, shit, I have to make up all of this shit. Then he says on November 18th, I again attempted to view the contents of the SD card. Then he says, I was then put in touch with TL, another resident at the King Road house. TL stated that she would be back into Moscow approximately at 8. I met with her at her residence and asked again if she would be willing to assist in recording screen captures on her phone. So then he goes, so check this out. Now he goes, he's making all of this up. Ready? Because he puts up here originally that, hey, somebody contacted me and said, hey, there's somebody there fucking with the camera. Okay. And he's like, oh, that must have been when you were watching it. It must have been Officer Morris unscrewing it. Do you understand that the person watching that video wouldn't know what cop that was? How would they know what cop that was? Here, Maury says it takes it upon himself to say that. Then he says that, hey, I have to disclose this now, which I didn't disclose ever that I ever went to this house. He had all these opportunities. Detective Maury's writing up these reports. And I personally think that some people that were given the passcode to watch everything were the Gonsalveses. Okay. And so I personally think that the Gonsalveses saw what the hell was going on and like, hey, you guys still haven't went and got that camera. I know that you guys haven't went and got that camera because I'm watching the fucking footage. Okay. Right? Hey, who's unscrewing this? Hey, who would be stalking that camera? I know I would attempt to get that camera, and how the girls were just giving it away. Like, here, yep, this is our passcode. Here, yep, this is the username. Well, from the interviews that I've seen and heard and the statements, I believe that they had access to that. I believe the Gonsalveses had access to that. Steve says how he was just watching a white car just continuing to circle. Right? How are you able to do that? Well, because he had access to get into the app, which then you can go back and look at. If you have somebody's app, you can go back and look at, hey, I'm going to go to this day and I'm going to watch everything on this day. I'm going to go to this day and I'm going to watch everything on that day. So let me go back to. So here, what should be interesting is that when now Detective Maury wants to come clean and write in the second report that on November 18th, I was out at that house. He says, I was out there. So then think about this. Oh, you were out there on the 18th? Oh, that's interesting. Look at when the camera and the King Road videos were put in. Oh, on the 18th. The camera and the King Road videos on the 18th. The same day that you went out there, Detective Maury. Is that right? That's when it got put into evidence, right? Ready again. So here. I explained to her that I needed to take the wireless router since the camera was already linked to the Wi-Fi network. She said that she would consent and allow both items to be seized. So I say that she would consent and allow both items to be seized. I reinstalled the camera in the light socket and it powered on. What? Well, attempting to view the data on the card. I received a forwarded email. That means it came from someone else. It wasn't to Detective Maury. It was from somebody else. I received a forwarded email from this girl or boy, CN, whose sister MK resides at the residence. The email stated that he was viewing the video remotely when Officer Morris removed the camera. He stated he saw a suspicious vehicle in the area and was concerned with the video footage stored on the device being overwritten. That's exactly what Steve Gonsalves was saying. Okay. I was then put in touch with TL, another resident at 1112 King Road. TL stated that she would be back into Moscow at approximately 8 p.m. I met with TL at her residence at 8 and asked again if she would be willing to assist in recording screen captures on her phone from the device. So how now you have to view all of this, ready, is you're going to have to rewind all of this because this is truly coming from Steve Gonsalves. Because remember, the original report stated, hey, Olivia got in contact with me. Report number 26 on 11/19. Report number 28 on 11/19. Both Maori. This first one. Why wouldn't this all just be written on one report? On November 18th, I logged into the. Oh, is this that one? Hold on. Oh, wow. So he wrote up 3 reports. He wrote up 3 reports in that day. Dude, basically, Olivia Gonsalves was doing their investigating. That's what was happening here. Then, on the same day, November 18th, he's logging into the Uber law enforcement portal. In a screenshot received from Olivia Gonsalves, it showed messages which appeared to be from Eric Rower and Kaylee. This is a mess. Absolute mess. So let's go back to what he said he did on the 18th. He's at King Road at 8 p.m. I met with Elle at her residence and asked again if she'd be willing to assist in recording screen captures. Why would you need to do that? Can you do screen captures on your phone from the device? He's had the password, all of that stuff, acts like he doesn't get on it. I explained to TL I would replace the camera, gather the information, and then take the camera as evidence. I also explained to TL I needed to take the wireless router since the camera was already linked to the Wi-Fi network. I think somebody is going to call bullshit on that, but why wouldn't you do all of this on the 14th? On the 13th? You would have worked up a search warrant immediately. That's the only camera that you have in the area, and you would go and you would get that immediately. Unless it fucks with, oh shit, we had no idea that was there. Fuck. Oh shit. Why are you doing this on the 18th? And then so now everything should make sense now. Remember when Jay is writing up his report, or not his report, but his argument. And he's like, he has this. And that's why he's like, oh, is it from some bizarre, tree that you guys came to Brian Culver? Or was it on November 18th when they just glimpsed at this camera for the first time? And that's where I'm saying, yeah, he could have wrote up his report like that, but does he truly believe that? Because if you actually read the reports that are leading up to that, they had access. And what he should have been saying is, but I know why he did that argument. He's making it seem like, hey, according to your reports, you haven't even had a chance to look at any of this until the 18th. And that's what he's saying, according to your reports. But we all know what y'all were doing from the 13th through the 18th. You would go and get a search warrant. This is not how you would do any of this shit. Oh, thanks, Carson. Thanks, Carson. You're right. We should have a little tournament here. on. He said that I reinstalled the camera in the light. I reinstalled the camera in the light socket and it powered on. I was able to watch as L accessed the footage on the camera. During this time, the camera showed a vehicle entering the area at approximately 3:56. What do you mean I reinstalled the camera? Where the fuck was the camera? Okay, now so think about this. He's over here saying that he reinstalled this camera. You guys, the camera, there's no camera that came into evidence prior to that. And no report says, except he wants to say that he sent Aaron Morris over to unscrew this and bring it to him. That's what he's claiming. This is all. Do you understand that no civilian would ever have seen this report? He never thought it would get. He can just write whatever until the day it would come up that, okay, we need to start from the beginning here. And the people in that house are everything. The people that are the neighbors. We need to talk to you about everything to do with this camera. And so I'm guessing that Rich, so here, let me go back to Rich Batanti. That's who you'd want to be talking to. Hey, can we talk to you about all of this stuff with the camera? You have all these body cams, right? If you're watching them, you see that actually Gunderson gets it. But if you pay really, really close attention, you can find out that somebody called in and said that they had camera that they believed would be helpful here, and it is not this camera. So what camera is it? Who signed off on this? 1719. Oh shit. Oh shit, we have to talk about this. Okay. Look at what this is titled. This is titled the AG files. This is every time that Olivia would call up there. Narrative, AG, case number, date, 11/17. He's writing. On 11/17, he's writing this. On November 15th, I received an email from Steve. They're calling it the AG files. The blank of Kaylee, so the dad of Kaylee. He stated he had access to some of Kaylee's messages and phone calls. Steve stated he would have Olivia, or Kaylee's sister, Olivia, contact me about those files. I was able to speak to Olivia, and she sent me various files. He says various files. What files? Including an image from the spokesman review showing a camera on a nearby residence. I'm like, why would he say this? Why is he putting this in there? And now we can come full circle with it. Showing a camera showing that it was like there, because he's going to try to say like, see, it was there. We never took it. No, that's not true, because what day is the picture from? A camera on a nearby residence, text messages between Kaylee and Jack D, text messages between Kaylee and her Uber driver, a recent phone call list, and video from the grub truck. I attached these files to the case file. The communication between Kaylee and Decor was located on Decor's phone, which was examined because his phone examination, and the Twitch feed was previously downloaded. So it's like we have that from Jack's phone. In the image showing the camera, it was found that the residence was at 1112 King Road. What do you mean it was found? He knew this day one. The SD card from the camera was brought to the Moscow Police Department, but the file system of the card was not recognized by any of the forensic computers. The card was returned to the owner and reinstalled into the camera. Who did that? So now the question is when did this happen? Who did this? When did this happen? Who brought this back? Hey. Okay, ready? Well, I'll tell you. Ryan Snyder. Ryan Snyder. His report, the only report to talk about this. On the 16th is when he writes the report, or it's finalized on the 16th. I spoke with the residents at 1112 King Road. PC informed me that they had a camera facing the west of the address that they believe captures a portion of the road. They first provided me with the SIM card out of the camera. When? What? However, they could not get it to work, and neither could I. What? So check this out. We were all pumped about, hey, I think Mr. Snyder here is like, good dude. Ryan Snyder here. You guys, this is on no body cam. This is the guy, Ryan Snyder, who took all the photos, walking around, that goes up, hey, doing a great job. Well, here I have questions. We straight up see whenever this would have happened is there is no report talking about, hey, I talked to Gunderson who gave me the SIM card, gave me the SD card. Nothing about that. Okay. So now remember, this report was written on the 16th. So you have the 13th is when they are there. 14th, 15th, 16th. And he says SIM card. Now remember, this thing is so little, so tiny that you would maybe call it a SIM card. But I have a problem with, what do you mean they first provided me with the SIM card out of the camera. However, they could not get it to work, and neither could I. They gave me the username and password to the camera. I informed Detective Mowry of the information, and they gave me permission to access the camera footage and record the necessary surveillance video. So then what the fuck, Mowry? You're such a liar. But when did this happen? When did any of this happen? You guys have his cameras for days. He doesn't get anything from them. Mowry doesn't say anything about Schneider or any of this. So that's all we have from that. So that's written up on the 16th. Here, Detective Mowry takes his first stab at writing anything about this. This is report 22, 11/17. But this is the Olivia G files. And on November 15th, this is what happens. And he's saying he got a picture of the spokesman review, and that you could see that there was a camera there. Well, guess what that picture is actually from? She just sent that to you on the 15th. That's not from the 15th. Those are pictures taken on the actual 13th. So you're misleading to make it seem like that those pictures were there or that the camera was there on the 15th. So then he says, in the image showing the camera, it was found that residence was at 111. It was found in the image. It was found that residence was at 1112 King Road. The SD card from the camera was brought to the Moscow Police Department, but the file system of the card was not recognized by any of the forensic computers. When was it brought there? Who brought it there? The card was returned to the owner and reinstalled into the camera. Oh, when they left, they went to fucking Boise, bitch. When did that happen? What are you talking about? Did you guys just go there yourselves and do it? And put it back in the camera? What do you mean the card was returned to the owner? So no. Then on November 15th, or on November 17th, again, when was that? On November 17th, 2022, Officer John Rosinski recontacted the owner of the camera. This person stated that she was out of town, but sent a video to Officer Rosinski showing a figure walk to the dumpster and appear to look inside. We haven't seen that. Have you guys seen that? I haven't seen that. Okay, so then going back to this is Mallory saying this. So, again, Officer John Rosinski. Where's his report? Officer Rosinski. There it is. Fuck out of here, liars. Okay. So to preserve any potential evidence on the camera, I asked this girl if we could seize the entire device, including the SD card. Why'd you give it back? So you would never do this. None of this is true. This is all lies. To which she stated yes. This girl said that she would not be back in Moscow until approximately November 28th, 2022. I directed this girl to contact me when she returned to her residence, at which time I will attempt to connect the camera back to her Wi-Fi router. Wait a second. There you go. So he's in possession of this camera. He just says that, oh, well, tell me when you get back and I will connect this camera back for you. This is on November 17th. That I had Officer Rosinski recontact the owner. Okay. And when this happened, the video, she's like, oh, I was able to see. Oh, so in the same, you think that this is how this happened. You think that this person told you about this. You don't think that it came from the Olivia files? It 100% came from the Olivia files because it's under the Olivia files. I'm not a moron. This right here, this would be in a completely separate report. Why are you writing this in and under this type of a report? They're saying the narrative is the AG files. Okay. So you would stop right here after she sent you that. I attach these files, blah, 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 examine, blah, blah. In the image showing the camera so that he can write all this. And then right here, the card was returned to the owner and reinstalled into the camera. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like when, no dates, no nothing. Like you're a fucking liar. Right here. This would start a completely different report. On November 17, 2022, Officer Rosinski recontacted the owner of the camera. That has nothing to do with what this report is. This would be a completely different report. But if you want to hide and bury things, so you have to read the whole thing. And this is when he's saying, Officer, why are you telling me what Officer John Rosinski did? Officer John Rosinski is going to tell me that in his own motherfucking report, not your report. Okay. You could say, I tasked him with something. That's in your report. But this would be its own separate report. Now he's acting like this all took place on the 15th. We don't even know. Right up to here. That's Olivia stuff on the 15th. Then he just wants to add here on November 17th, he just wants to write this. Then he says that I directed this person to contact me when she returns to her residence, at which time I will attempt to connect the camera back to her Wi-Fi router and view video from the device. As if it's like not connected, right? Okay. Well, then on the same, then 2 days later, probably upon reading Officer Snyder's work, on November 13th, 2022, I was informed of a possible surveillance camera. Because it's like, why aren't you So the name of this is 1112 King Road. The name of this report. That's what it's titled. So it's going to be everything that has to do with 1112 King Road, the video, King Video. That's why it's like, why is that other stuff under the Olivia file? Well, here he's like, okay, on November 13th, 2022, I was informed of a possible surveillance camera located at 1112 King Road. Corporal Ryan Snyder had spoken with one of the residents at this location. PC, I think it's whatever, who had a camera using the Home Eye Pro app on the porch of their dwelling. Corporal Snyder provided me with the username and password for the Home Eye Pro account associated with that. And so what do you think he did? He's making it seem like he never did anything with it. I asked Corporal Snyder if this video was stored on a cloud-based system for me to view, or if this person could download a copy of the video. I was provided a 32 GB SD card from the camera. Again, when? But the file format was not recognized by any of my forensic computers. You have to put that into evidence. Wait, what are you doing? What? And prompted me to format the disk. So he's basically trying, I think, to try to get in front of something where there'd be a modification, a date and a timestamp. That would be, so if he formatted the disk, it would show that there was a modification and it was going to give you a timestamp of this day, which I believe is 11/13/2022. And so it's only going to be, it's Maury's word that, yeah, that modification, yeah, that was me formatting the disk. Last time I, was told about how you should do this type of work is, why wouldn't you make a working copy? So if you want to do whatever, it's where's the chain of custody? Again, I was provided from who? I was provided. How can you just be provided with stuff? Where, when? What are you talking about? And then it prompted me to format the disk. Snyder informed me that this person could screen capture the video from her phone, and the card was returned to her to enable her to assist in the acquisition of the data. You guys, it doesn't make any sense. If it's on the cloud, you don't need the disk to do that. And Snyder didn't even know that the SD card was turned over. So, for example, Gunderson and Snyder would have had to have a conversation at some point, which is on no body cams on 11/13/2022, saying, hey, those girls gave me the SD card. Okay? What do you want me to do with this? Did you ask them for that? They gave this to me. Or am I supposed to hit up Maury and say, hey, the girls gave me this? Gunderson knows better. You just took a piece of evidence, and what did he do with it? He put it on his dash. He put it in, you don't have evidence bags in your trooper vehicle. We know that you do. What the hell? Nothing changes in an investigation, whether it's a murder scene or if it's a stolen bike. Your fundamentals is your fundamentals, like your protocols, the way that you do something. And that's why they teach you that if you take every case and apply the same practice to it, best practices to it, you're training yourself. You're not cutting corners. Oh, it's just only for this. So this doesn't matter. That's how you can tell that they just have, they suck. It's bad. They're bad. They are fucking absolute trash cans. It's just what it is. Not as human beings, but at their job, they're fucking awful. They're seriously bad. And this is no different. If probably not, I believe this is worse than the Karen Reed case. And I don't know how that says a lot, right? And the reason I think that it's worse than the Karen Reed case is because I just feel like those guys, hey, we attempted to get, you know, the blood. So we took a leaf blower so we can get down. And honestly, I think that actually helped Karen Reed because they were able to get down all the way to the grass, and you don't see any of those shards. None of these pieces that we couldn't get to until the ground froze or was unfroze, until the snow went away. Dude, they got down all the way down to the grass and the dirt day one, and there's nothing there. There's no big chunks, which proves that glass, the taillight wasn't there. So it actually, I think, if you're using logic and common sense and you're a juror, you would be saying that when you're back in the deliberating room. And in this case, they knew that 4 people were murdered. Okay. In the Karen Reed case, some guy could have been drunk. Guy could have been hit by a car. He was just outside, frozen, basically. So yeah, woo. Okay. So now on 11, okay, so he claims to have gotten this, but doesn't say when, doesn't say how. Now on November 17th, which is, so you have the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, day 5. On November 17th, I requested the assistance of Officer John Rosinski to reconnect blank, or to recontact this person and see if she could provide the video from the camera. Officer Rosinski contacted this person who stated that she was in Boise, Idaho until November 28th. Officer Rosinski, and then he just writes this name. Officer Rosinski blank sent him a video of a male subject walking by the camera at approximately 3:20 hours towards the dumpster. Officer Rosinski contacted me and I spoke to this person and requested permission to remove the camera from the residence, and she consented. Did you send her a consent form? They're just late. They're like, hey, I don't want to write all that stuff up for a search warrant. So if I can just get consent, then I don't have to do any of that. You understand? That's why you would do that. Like, I don't want to write all that shit up. Or they don't want to lie in it. Who knows? Based on my training experience, I know many of the different video surveillance cameras use a first in, first out storage retention system. Then why would you wait till November 17th? This is the only piece of evidence that you had in the case. Literally, and you hear them all talking on the cameras and on the body cams, and all of these officers are saying, whoa, this is the only camera in this entire area. Like, that's how it should be. It should be the number one thing. You're seeing every car that comes in, especially hey, I want to see what it looks like. Let me see what kind of view it has. Oh, wow, it's clear. This is your most important piece. Mowry says that I was concerned data may be lost the longer the camera continued to record footage. Not if you ask questions about what the camera's doing and what the retention is, and that, oh, wow, you have stuff all the way back 6 months ago that's in your cloud. Oh, yeah. So you'd be asking all these type of questions. And I'm sure that they did, but they don't want to put that down. I requested assistance from Officer now Aaron Morris to go to the residence and unscrew the camera from its location. Do you guys understand? The camera the camera matters for purposes down the road, but the SD card, whatever is on there is on there. Okay? Like whatever's saved on there is saved on there. The moment that you would, if you took it out on the 13th, like it was out on the 13th, whatever's on that SD card's on that SD card, right? By you going and taking the SD card and then reinserting it into the camera, screwing it back in, hey, we're back live, and so we're using this to like save everything, right? Then now you're like saving it back to the SD card. Like and so like, what are you talking about? You're going to sit here and tell me that Maori doesn't know that? Like, that's something that you would know in 9th grade when they explain, hey guys, remember those floppy disks that we had to use back in the day? Oregon Trail. I loved playing Oregon Trail, right? And if you save, like, you guys know how to save something. If I have a thumb drive, and I save shit if I'm making a video and I save it to my hard drive, but I also save it to, and then I drag it and I save it to an external hard drive, and then so it's on my device, it's on this external hard drive, and then I uploaded the video that I made. So there's like 3 locations that would be in. But if I was to plug back in like a thumb drive that I saved a video to, and then I want to like just like rename it, I could then override what that even was. I just think that there's so many ways to fuck with this. But you would have to know the number one thing is that if I have the SD card, it's saved on here. Whatever's on here is on here. Unless when you got the SD card and you reformatted it, something fucking horrible happened and you screwed it up. So when he says this, I would want to ask so many questions, say, okay, can you explain your thought process here when you're like, okay, I have the SD card. We got it on day 1 on the 13th. Gunderson got it, right? What'd you do with it? Well, you were worried that stuff would get wrote over. How would anything get wrote over on an SD card that was out of the light bulb camera? How could that SD card ever be wrote over? Is it because you looked at the SD card and it wasn't, like, the material wasn't saved to it? Think about that. So if you got the SD card and you actually plugged it in and you looked at it and you're like, holy shit, they never changed this, so it actually hasn't been saving anything. But according to, ready? So here we go. Let's say SD cards can only hold so much material, right? And if an SD card can only hold so much material, depending on what type of camera it is and how, I guess it would be, you can just start, you'd have to ask those girls when they got the device, how much material that would be. But if I got the SD card on day 1 and I looked at it and I was like, oh God, I don't think it's saved. I don't think there was any room on it. You hear how I'm saying it? It's like, holy shit, we need to plug this all back in, and whatever's up in the cloud, we need to download and save because it's not on this SD card. Formatting means you've formatting the root of the storage device. If you format a drive, you're wiping it. Well, DB, that's where I was headed with to say, you did what? You did what? Yeah, formatting means you've formatted the root of the storage device. If you format a drive, you're wiping it. Yes, that's the only thing that would make sense as to why you would go back there and act like you need to do all this crazy ass shit. Because, hold on. Now going back to, hold on, where's Andrew's stuff? Okay, here. Going back to Andrew's shit. Okay, remember, Andrew comes into play here. All right, so let's go back because this is about investigating. So you guys are going to help. All right, so if we go back to items of evidence that was submitted, and we go to 1113. 1113. None of those are the items. We get to the first SD card that could even be remotely possibly it. Is there's an SD card that's put in on 1117, and it is, there's two. Item 172 SD card on 1117, and an SD card on 1117 that's item 203. And then there's item 135 SD card on 1117. So we have three. I thought we had four. Hold on, there's another one. It's 203, 213, 172, and 135. Those are all come in on the 17th. Then we have labeled videos. King Road videos. And it's just video. It's not plural. And that is okay. So then let's go to nothing on the then on the 18th we have King Road video and camera. But you know what we don't have? SD, the SD card. Camera. Cigarette butt. 1120. SD card. Power cord. Power cord. So going back to Andrew here. The original SD card cannot possibly have anything on it. Andrew writes up this report and he says, hey, on June 15th, 2023, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. And what I think is interesting is that when you go and look at what was going down on that day, on that same day, on 7/5, King Road video was submitted into evidence. King Road video was submitted into evidence. Is on the same day that he made this. But he says that he did it on, he said he began this on 11 or on June 15th, but I think this was for Ann Taylor. And it's just like, what version did Ann Taylor get? Is this the version that we have? Is this the version that we have? So on June 15th, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. This included 1,464 5-minute videos that range from 12:55 hours on 11/13/2022 to 17:22 hours on 11/17/2022. He was able to stitch these all together and make it into, so as a result, I was able to compile the videos down to 17. So why are you, the videos were placed on a portable hard drive and entered into evidence. That would be on June 15th, 2023, right? June. Yeah, nothing. But on the day that you wrote this, item 771 King Road video on 7/5 gets entered in. Look at Ann Taylor couldn't have possibly seen anything to do with Indian Hills video, okay, until 7/18. That's when it was entered into evidence to even be like discoverable, okay? The Ridge Road video not entered into evidence until 7/18, okay? Indian Hills video, there's a different one, 800. Sunset Mart drives. So here, 11/24. Glove, Fire Stick, photo printer, Kindle Fire Stick, monitor, phone, Chevy, the consoles, letter. So see all those? Nothing, no videos, no videos. Then 12/16. Nothing from 12/16 to 12/29 goes in to evidence. 12/29, boom, this is all the trash pull. All this trash pull shit. Trash. Okay. 1/3. Then we get to, let's see. No video. Video and email. Audio and email. Corner Club receipts. So here's Ann Taylor. She's the defense attorney. And that means that she basically was going to have Andrew Fox testify to, she knows when she received whatever she received. And I just believe that what she received is right here. And it's this version. And whatever he did, this is what she receives. Because I don't believe that she received anything until after this report was written up and however he did it. And I think what then Ann Taylor was going to do is she was going to say, well, I have a question now because we want to know what the fuck the FBI went off of. when they made up this report, which is months before. In fact, this report was written in May of 2023. Okay. So it could then be used at the grand jury, because you can testify to hearsay at the grand jury. So you didn't do this, but you could testify to this. But you can see that it was 2/6/2023. So what did they use for this? What were they provided with to make this? Because that's, if I'm Ann Taylor, I'm like, well, clearly they made up their report. The FBI used video, and it wasn't Andrews, because Andrews was made after the fact. So what did the FBI use? Because that's what I want. I want the stuff that the FBI used to write up this report, because this report was written months before Andrew Fox did this task, which is, so you think the FBI went through all of these 1,464 5-minute videos that range from 12:55 to on 11:13 to 5:22 on 11:17? Is that what you guys think? I tell you what, they did not. They absolutely did not. And the reason this is all now coming back and is important is because, well, everybody in Moscow knows that there's a church that has a bell, and that it's one of the most historical pieces in Moscow, Idaho. Like, it's, when I say historical, it is, the history behind it is really, really interesting. And they pride themselves on this bell, and this bell can be heard across the entire little area. And so when you have a bell that's supposed to be ringing, and it's based off of what time it is, what time of day it is when it strikes 00 on the clock. Okay. Let me tell you some history. Very interesting history. The first United Methodist Church in Moscow, Idaho, has an historic bell that is still used today. The church building, located at 3rd and Adams Street, was constructed in 1902, and a 5-foot bell and Seth Thomas clock were installed in the clock tower at that time. Again, it's 5-foot bell. Okay. The bell is still in use, and now it is through an electrical mechanism, which was added later to operate it. The chimes from the historic clock and bell can be heard in the community. An automated time change mechanism for church bells. They use an electronic controller with a clock to manage bell functions, including automatically switching to and from daylight savings time. These systems can also be programmed for hourly chimes, hourly strikes, and other events like funeral tolls or wedding bells. And many offer remote operations via Wi-Fi and apps. Now, give a shout out here. The Bell Choir Elementary, Sunday, November 13th, 2022, from 11:45 a.m. to 12:10 p.m. There was allegedly a Bell Choir Elementary. Give a shout out here. Is New Orleans lady still in the building? This is the schedule back from November of 2022. The schedule of everything that was scheduled in November of 2022, with the emphasis of, I want to talk about November 13th. Well, there was a bell choir. This was just the name of the event. Bell Choir Elementary, which was Sunday, November 13th, and it was from 11:45 a.m. to 12:10 p.m. Now, there was a worship service on November 13th from 10:30 to 11:45 a.m. And on Sunday, there was a Sunday school 9 to 10 a.m. Sunday school on November 13th. Nine, 10. So you could see those little things. Now. Ooh. The First Methodist is located literally right across the street from the law office. Well, so here's the First United Methodist Church. Here's the right across from the high school. And then the next street over, which is 5th Street and Adams on the corner, you're going to get your Latah County Courthouse, Mabut's law office. Okay. So they are very, very familiar with the First United Methodist Church. Okay. Now, the gentleman that is in charge of the music, the choir over there at this Methodist church, his dad ran and operated at 420 Highway 95. It was the City North Americano. They would move people. They were the choice for the police department back in, when they did all their new shit to move into that new building back 2+ years ago. That's that picture from 2+ years ago. So him and his dad, or the guy that ran it, and was part of the choir, he ran the choir there. This is they are located just up a block from the police department. (1420) Highway 95. The First United Methodist Church in Moscow, Idaho, has an historic bell that is still in use today. A 5-foot bell and Seth Thomas clock were installed, you guys, back in 1902. And then they kept on. They took care of this. Still to this day, it's in perfect condition. Right? Right. Now, City North Americano, whatever, trucking, loading, whatever you want to call it, closed its doors and then became Quad Cities. And then eventually changed its name then to True North Moving Company and Storage, which is right where that white Elantra, by the way, which is so fucking crazy. There's a white Elantra that everybody was looking up back in the day on this street, Levick Street, which is right there, located right by 1125 Ridge Road. Now, the pastor, who's been there for a while, the Reverend Derek McGuckin, pastor at Moscow First United Methodist Church, loves to work with others in living out the kingdom of God. He is passionate about relationships with God, his family, the church, and the community. Prior to coming to Moscow First UMC, Pastor Derek served as pastor to several United Methodist churches in Washington beginning in 2000. The son of missionaries, Pastor Derek grew up in Costa Rica and Argentina before returning to the United States. He is a graduate of the University of California, Davis, and has a master's degree from Fuller for theological seminaries. Seminar. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, back to my phone call. I'm going to go ahead and call for your viewing pleasure.
Church. How can I help you?
Hi, I have a question. I'm working on a project with my son to do. We actually want to do a story about your guys' bell tower. I guess it's been around since 1902, if not a little bit earlier.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so a couple questions that I had. Are you the person I could ask about it?
I might be able to answer some of your questions, but I am also fairly new, and the person who works on the bell tower is a part of our board of trustees. So,
so one of the things, this may be easy. So he's always wondering, why does it ring like, 2 times compared to then 10 times on the next hour? And so I was explaining to him, but I wanted to make sure I had this correct, is if it's like 3:00 in the afternoon, does that mean that it's going to ding 3 times?
Oh, actually, that is actually not what I know the answer to. I can go ahead and get the contact information of the member who does all the kind of church bell maintenance. And if you leave an email or a phone number with me, I can go ahead and let him know that you have this project in mind, and I can.
Yeah. Do you just want me to email you? You just want me to email you, or is does Thomas have anything to do with it, with the choir, or is that separate?
That's separate.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I can just. The other question is he wants to know it's not manually done anymore, because I was explaining that you guys switched over from that. Do you know that to be true?
Yes. Yeah. No, it is no longer manually done. The only time we manually ring it is right before Sunday worship, when we have a rope that one of our ushers goes and rings 10 minutes before service starts.
Okay. So that's only. So do you guys then use? Well, he's into like all of like Roblox. So do you have like an app that like you guys then would use?
We don't have an app for it, I don't think. I think we just have it set up as it's the mechanism in there, kind of.
Does it just run off of like, okay, like, so he was, if like your Wi-Fi, if it was running off of Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi was down in the area, would that affect the bell?
No.
Okay, so the bell can ring. So basically it's like, so if there was like a power outage, Mom, is the bell out? And I was like, that's a good question.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the bell would go out if there were a power outage. That's something our bell guy would be able to answer.
Okay. And then then you said like, but if the Wi-Fi went out, that wouldn't affect it.
Yeah.
Like when because he was talking about like if he was playing Roblox and the Wi-Fi is out, he can't play. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but the bell can still ring regardless if Wi-Fi goes out or not.
Yes.
He's going to be comparing it to how when people are using apps. Okay. And then that's what that's all about. And then now does it go the same? Because he's like, Mom, why don't I get woke up during the middle of the night from hearing the bell? I was like, oh, maybe they turn it down for the nighttime ones. I don't know. I can ask. Do you know if is it the same like decibels each time?
I'm pretty sure it is. I think it would depend how close you are to the church. It tends. I'll ask really fast with our pastor to see if there's an answer to that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I thought was a good one was so for like weddings and stuff, I was just looking all this stuff up. You guys do different things. If there was like a wedding, you guys would do like different chimes. Is that still
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we just use the manual pull rope to ring the bells for those.
Okay. And what was it then? Okay, yeah. So the number of bell rings, because then I was like thinking, would it be daylight savings? So if it was like, hey, if you turn back, at 2 we're supposed to, or at 2 we're supposed to turn back to like 1, would the bell double ring? So like, I know that's kind of weird, but would it ring extensively then? Because like, would it ring for like the 2, but then, or is it that we technically change it like at 1:59? So then it's just gonna get the.
Yeah, I think it just rings at a 1 time because the changeover is at 1:59.
Okay, and so then it would just. So then would it ring back to back double the? Let's say that if it kicks back at 1:59. Because how does it do it? It's like at 1:59 it goes back to like 1 basically, right? Because like they say like at 2 you're supposed to toss it back an hour. So would that mean that back to back hours you would hear the same amount of dings?
Yes.
And that would just be 1 because it's at 1?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I know, are these weird questions? I'm so sorry. I can talk to your guy though, but
yeah, no, they're questions that anyone interested in the clock would want to know. But yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll send, if you can give me your information, I'll send it all to the guy who does all the work on the bell.
Okay.
He should be able to.
He was big on this whole like he's like, oh, I don't have to worry about having a watch. I just listen for the bells, and I'm like, you do what? He's like, yeah, those bells. Didn't you ever notice that they ring at it's like 1, and then the next time it'll be 2, and I'm like, it rings like so at noon it rings 12 times, and I'm like, I was like, I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, I don't think we ever get up to 12 times, but who knows? Maybe I just don't notice it. So
because we just get so used to it. Yes, right. And then and then the really one that kind of got me like thinking about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? I've never like woke up to the bell, like, oh my God, that woke me up out of my sleep. But I guess I never like sat around to see like, okay, hey, after, during the night, is it like softer? I was like, I don't know, I got to ask that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, yeah, let me give you my information and, all right. So we are going to hear from the bellmaster. The bellmaster. Now, now I have a question for Ann Taylor. Did you and your team ever consider that if these bells, first of all, we're going to find out if there's a rhyme or reason to the bells. Is it 1 bell at 1, at 2? But something that I want to point out is that if it's daylight savings time, when it would turn back on that day, could there be back to back of the same rings? How is it controlled? Is it via app? Can you like manually, mess with that? Yeah. So we're gonna get all the answers. Any other questions? What do you guys have? Any last questions about the bell? He was super nice. Anybody, any questions? No, no Bluebird. That was not daylight savings on that day. No. No, 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 no. But bell choir, 11:45 to 12:10. And I was like, that's interesting. It starts right after worship service, is at 10:30. So you have to stick around afterwards. But I was just curious, what is bell choir elementary? What is that? So I have a question about that. Because that is like legit in the time period of the when everybody's getting over to the crime scene. Isn't that weird? That if they try to say, well, the reason there wasn't a bell that day is because we were doing the bell choir elementary. And so we disabled it. And I'm like, then I would be suspicious of this. Then I would want to see when this was truly added to the calendar. You guys see where I'm going with this? So we did a deep, extensive dive last night into all of the body cams that I've ever went and received from the Moscow Police Department. Every single body cam. And when Officer Noonans is arriving at basically 12, do we hear it? Do we hear it? We don't, but we could have missed it. So it could have went. I'm just curious. But when New Orleans lady went ahead and she's like, you need to see something. What do you think about this little bell choir elementary going on at 11:45 to 12:10 on the day of the murder? I said, are you kidding me? I said, yeah, what do we think about this? I said, I want to know everything about the bells, the whistles and the bells. But my question is if you think that they're scandalous, right? That there's, dude, after the Karen Reed case, it should show everybody that there is nothing that nobody would, if they have can they access certain things? What could they do? How would they make it? And I think it's worth noting that during the time of the bell, they had a bell choir elementary from 11:45 to 12:10. Very weird time. Like, why wouldn't it just be 11:45 to 12:15? And then I just did some digging into, okay, who's over there at the Methodist church that would ever play along? And I just thought it was interesting. Like, they have a board of trustees. But here, I will show you that according to their schedule, they have this on the 20th too at 11:45. So we're going to go back and look at October. So he's saying even if Wi-Fi was out, it would not affect the bell, which is really important. So there's that. Okay. They do ring for funerals. You guys they do it manually. For weddings and funerals, they do it manually. They ring the bell manually for weddings and funerals. There is a rope. But I do know this, that 100% the police are 100%, they know people at that church because they use the City North American. That's who they used. And the local people that run that are the people that are involved with the church, the choir there. The choir people. Are you guys understanding this? The choir people. Thomas. No reason to. All you guys need to know is Thomas. Tom, who runs the choir at the Methodist church, owned and operated this puppy. Okay. And then I found this on their Facebook page, which is them using the police department, the new police department, using them. They also have storage, city storage. I want to know where when they're talking about they're going to the city storage, where are they going? Is it part of what they owned? And where it's located is right like down the street. Like it's right across from A&W. It's where's that one at? This is it. And so there's a building here, there's a little building here, and it's right next to Palouse Properties there, or Palouse Rentals there. And it's like, would love to know if they have cameras. Just love to know if they had some cameras, if anybody hit them up for their cameras. And showing you just how close it is. It's right there. This is Taylor. So that's Steiner. 76 right here. And then remember the girls talking about where Ethan's apartment was, and they thought it was like right past the 76. Like you go down this, it's down the street next to like the 76 gas station. Okay, well, I just want to say that there are apartments that are here, like right across, and there's also like this street that's right next to the 76 gas station. That's like where they came from to come right here to Ridge Road, which is right here, like right there, actually. Right here, there's apartments right there. And so I'm curious if that's what they're talking about. And that's right across from the True North, True North Moving Company and Storage. So see Snyder here. It's right here on the corner. There's the A&W. So this is that Lauder Ave. This is where Walenta, it's right there. It's Ridge. And there's apartments right here and here. So I was trying to like hone in on, I mean, I don't think that the Chapins would allow some of these locations. There's no way that I would have my kid there. So I think some of them are just off, like there's no way. So you can just start Xing those because of like the type of place that it is. But right here on the corner, right there on the corner, the first house on Snyder Avenue on the left, 123 Snyder Avenue, that's where Molly's best friend Janelle and her husband lived. That's where a huge drug raid went down. Moscow, Idaho they said because I wanted 10 hours of dash cam footage. And it was something astronomical for them to go through it because the prosecutors, they come over, Ashley Jennings and Bill Thompson. So I'm going to look into getting that footage. I had stopped and put a halt to it because when they threw out some astronomical price, but I wanted, that was for everything. I wanted all the body cams. I wanted all the dash cams. There's a huge drug raid there. And it involved Janelle, who supposedly stole Molly's truck. Remember? But where the house was located and where all these like little apartments that are right around there that Dylan or Bethany were mentioning, like I can't remember which one said that. Yeah, it's the street next to like 76. That's right over here. And there's one apartment that's literally looks directly across from like the house. And when you're a social person and like people are out around, they're like your neighbors, could people come in contact with people? So maybe the reason of this whole, like, why is it a big secret where Ethan Chapin's apartment was? How is there no report on that? How did nobody ever go? How did Ann Taylor not force a report to be done on that? You're telling me nobody in this investigation went to Ethan Chapin's apartment and looked through that? Like, you got to be kidding me. That something could be there. Like, if you're trying to figure out where Ethan and Xana were. How do you know if they didn't go there after leaving that they didn't go there after leaving Sigma Chi. That they didn't go there and then leave from being over there to then come back to the 1112 King Road house. You would never. The moment that you would find out, oh, he didn't live at Sigma Chi. Oh, yes, he was here all the time, but he had an apartment somewhere else. The minute that you would hear that as an investigator, you would track down. And if you listen to the Joe Lake interview with Dylan, he says that. He says, oh, yeah, no, we know about that. And it's nothing. Don't worry about it. The way that he answers her back with the Joe Lake, Dylan Mortensen victimology interview that was on the 30th, which I'm going to set up a live for us to listen to that and we can go through that. But it's very interesting when they chose to do that interview with Dylan Mortensen with the victimology that's done on the 30th, right after the arrest of Brian. Like, why wasn't that done way earlier? So, yeah. So, bottom line is that these videos matter. These videos are inadmissible. If you formatted something, if you're formatting something, you have the potential to completely you don't have it anymore. If you had to reformat something, it's that's like a editor's worst nightmare. Like, wait, what did you do? Oh my God, I would have just lost all my stuff that I've been working on to build a video, and you did what? Yeah, well, I reformatted it. Huh? I'd be losing my mind. So how did these people, the FBI, what did they use? What videos were they using to make all of this stuff up? If it wasn't done yet. Meaning the Andrew work. Where's Andrew's work? In here. Let me keep this stuff separate. Yeah. So this is why I think Ann Taylor had Andrew Fox on her list. He wasn't on I don't think he was on the state's witness list. So let me take one more look here at what happens at the end of June or the beginning of July. That's when shit was popping off for hey, you guys need to get these reports in. We have motions to compel, and there's a potential of us still going to trial for a speedy trial, and this is bad. And so let's see. For example, okay, this is how you can prove that shit is whack. Okay. Each time you get more information, you're able to break down more things. So Lawrence Mowry wrote up a report on, what is that, 7/5/2023, right? 7/5/2023. Before then, well, another one, 7/5/2023. For something that he did on June 29th. This is Lawrence Mowry, 7/5/2023. Oh, for something that he did on April 26th, April 27th. On April 27th at approximately 14:11 hours, the warrant was served he served in Amazon. So here. Oh. Wait, Amazon. I can't wait to hear this. Was served via Amazon. Forensic account for MD with the Federal Bureau of Assisted. Oh, they're Michael Douglas. So he helped. Later, it was found that the warrant was dated March instead of April. An amended warrant was requested and granted. This warrant was served on May 10th, 2023 at approximately 9:05 hours with the assistance of forensic accountant Michael accountant. What's wrong with them? Michael Douglas. On June 27th, 2023, I received an email from Douglas. The email was a response from Amazon saying that the data was available to download this email from Douglas. Now, why wasn't this wrote up when you did it? Why is this being wrote up on July 5th, the same time that Fox is writing up that report about what he did with those videos? Everything comes back to these fucking idiots. Mowry, Blaker, the Amazon shit. Why are you putting in for your Amazon search warrant? Why did you, ready for this? Here's your big, holy shit. Do you guys know what date Detective Mowry put in for his Amazon warrant? Do you guys know what dates that these went off of? Why would there be an Amazon if you didn't know Brian Culver's name until the 19th? Okay. And so did the FBI, right? Because y'all are working together. Why would the Amazon date of the search warrant or the subpoena be on December 6th? You want to know what December 6th is? It is literally the date after somebody types in on 12/5 Brian Culver's name. It's because you can't go past December 6th. If you're writing it on December 6th, you can't ask for future, information. And this idiot, we always wondered why December, like where did this number come from? Where did this date come from that, Detective Mowry, why are you writing in for your Amazon shit that you're only going to December 6th? Oh, that's interesting. Well, because on December 5th, we got his name, or his name was entered. So I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. See? So he didn't do any of this. This is what he did. And so my question would be is, on June 27th is when I received an email from Douglas. Oh, the email response. Okay, so I can complete the warrant. Here you go. And I wrote it up, and now you can what? Turn it over to the defense. Without any of this shit, you can pay attention to these dates of these reports and when they're saying, that's why Bill Thompson's saying, we don't have it. It's not discoverable. Like, there's none of this shit. We don't have it. Well, you don't have it because you were telling your people not to write up reports because it's not discoverable. So when everybody thinks that Ann Taylor or any defense attorney ever gets it, like how we got it with all these reports up here, 1 through 314, here you go. That's how it should be, but no. Now, pain. Dustin Blaker. Look at this shit. What's the date? 7/21. During the midst of all of this shit that's IGG, we want to suppress all this shit. We want a protective order. He writes up a report on 7/21 about what? From November 25th, 2022 to December 17th, I gathered information from other police agencies around Moscow in reference to any 2012 to 2013. 2012? He can't even write up the report right. It's 2011. Why are you writing this up right now? Because Ann Taylor found shit and there's a person missing. There's a link missing. And that would be because it's like, where is this shit coming from? How do you guys have this? Who provided you this? Oh, Blaker got it. Where's Blaker's report? That he went and did all this. Hey, we need you to write up a report of what you were doing. There's no reports saying that you did any of this. Well, guess what? Now, from November 25th, I was like, ooh, November 25th. What is this in reference of? It's because why the fuck does Pullman have Why does the Pullman Police Department have spreadsheets that are dated their work started on November 25th? Because of the be on the lookout. And here, he's acting like he did this with all these other agents. He went around the area. Well, then where is Lewiston? Where's there's just Pullman. There's just Pullman. And it's the Pullman Police Department. And Blaker was working with the Pullman Police Department since jump. And so one would ask themselves, right, why would we be leaving out the Pullman Police Department? Because we can't have stuff be discovered what was truly going on with the Pullman Police Department in this case. How is Molly linked? How is Molly just, oh, she's just a DoorDasher? This is why I believe that they use WSU guys of finding this and putting it in the PCA. Why wouldn't you say, yeah, the guys from Pullman? The guys from Pullman. And what they're, if Detective Blaker is truly going to take the stand and say, I fucked up when he gave me that. I put it in my cabinet and I totally forgot that they had that. And I didn't even see any of this stuff until you're asking for it. So we didn't even use any of that to track down Brian Kober. Are you kidding me? That's what this man was set to testify to. Who would believe this? Well, I can tell you who wouldn't believe it is the Pullman people. And that's why Chris Engel is on or was on Ann Taylor's witness list. How many hours do you think you worked on this? And who were you working with? Detective Blaker. And so every day that you're doing this stuff, right? You're checking in with him, you're calling him, you're emailing him, you're giving him updates, right? He wasn't writing any reports. Who did you guys have CIs? Like, this is where this would have went. But here, July 21st, 2023 writes up this report. Once I gathered all of this information, I turned it over to the FBI, who was tasked with gathering all plate information to build up a possible suspect pool for this case. This is opposite of what he wrote a report about earlier. And that's when I find it hard to believe, because then you had to write up a report saying, oh, I had this thumb drive. So then you didn't turn over everything to the FBI. You would always have your working copy. This is just mind-blowing. But Ann Taylor's having to ask for all of this stuff. And then I think she went ham with asking for stuff. Once they were like, okay, they're hiding everything. And then I think someone even told Ann Taylor that, how do we know they're not hiding behind IgG? How do we know that? Because that's what it would look like, because you guys aren't producing anything. So that's when Blaker on July 21st, 2023 writes that report. And now we know why. Because all these motions of compelling, they were being granted by Judge. And so stuff that they were trying to hide, they couldn't. So they're having to write these reports. Now, watch this. You guys think James Fry is amazing? Think again. James Fry. The date. Now he has to write up a report. July 25th, 2023. Who's this? On 11/28/2022. What is this about? Well, James Fry, he interviewed. He doesn't even write any of this right. On 11/28/2022, this person, KJS, so KS, came into the police department to speak with me. This person was hesitant to talk due to being acquaintance with AB. Who the fuck is AB? Right? Well, I think I know, but this person told me she did not believe B was involved with the homicide, but stated that he always had a large sheathed knife on him. This person said this B had interest in her daughter and made her uncomfortable at times. This person told me she believed he had been in the Marines for several years and just wanted the information passed on. Now, could this potentially be Kim, WSU Kim, because the K and the S, those are her initials. I don't know if they wrote the name Kimberly. I have no idea. Okay. But why do you think this would have been wrote up? I'll tell you what I think. I think it's because if she's going on channels and panels and talking about, and if she reached out to the defense and saying, I had conversations with so and so. Here's my my records. Here's my records. This is when I called up here. This is when I talked to them. Then I even went in, you know. I went in. And so the only way that then the defense is writing up a disclosure, hey, a request, is that so and so interviewed with such and such person on this day. Where's that report? James Fry didn't write a report about talking to the. I mean, how many other people? What else? Brett Payne. Here, Kohlberger Apple warrant. This is part of this. This is when I think Ann Taylor was like, "Wow, now this is all fucking lies, all lies." Okay, so this is the Apple stuff. On Tuesday, August 1st, 2023, I applied for a search warrant for the Apple Inc. records from December of 2016. Account creation date to December 30th of 2023. I said it's the wrong date, you idiot. It's 2022. Okay. Kohlberger's arrest date for all data associated with the following identifiers. Now, Apple ID this, Apple ID do this. Now, think about this. If they have another meeting and they sit down and they say, hey, you guys are going to have to go and get all of this stuff yourselves. You're like, why remember the question was, we didn't understand it at the time. The defense is over here saying, why are you, meaning Moscow Police Department, you guys, this already exists. You already have this because the FBI, and they're supposed to be working with you guys, right? They're going and getting these things. So why are you writing up and going and getting a search warrant for something that you already have? Because it's going to reveal the dates of things. That's the only thing that makes sense with me, is that it's going to reveal the dates of the things that they were doing. And then it makes more sense with like, oh, here, the lab 12.5 name being wrote in. But if we can keep this out and you guys are using your own things to turn over to the defense, like here, making it seem like you just went and got this information in August of 2023. Who believes that? Nobody believes that. But here, this is what they want us to believe, is that they did not make any efforts to go back and get Brian. Like, you have Brian Kohlberger's, you don't put it in to get his Apple until August. It's because the FBI weren't violating his rights. Exactly. And they were not planning on using the FBI. Because I think the FBI was like, no, we cannot turn this over. We're all co-located. We're sharing all of this stuff, right? We're going to have to prep you guys, you know, into saying that you guys got these things or something. I have no fucking clue, but why would you ever go and get something that you already have? So here, Brett Payne writes up a, you know, Now, I don't know if he just wrote this up and acted like he did. I have no idea what they're doing, but come on, you would never wait until August 1st of 2023 to go and obtain Brian Kohlberger's Apple shit. Would you? No, you wouldn't. I mean, why would you? These are his Apple IDs. The warrant was granted on Tuesday, August 1st, with 14 days to serve it. So that's what he did. August 1st. Then, now this is a report. On Wednesday, August 2nd, I responded to several locations around the Palouse in order to collect soil samples. A plastic shovel with dirt wedged into several locations was recovered during the search of Kohlberger's white Elantra, and these samples were taken in order to compare them to the samples on the shovel. None of them matched. Ah. All right, I think we can end there for today. It's just interesting when you go back and you look at all of this stuff, isn't it? When you go back and you look at all these dates, and then you really go back and you look at, geez, Detective Mowry, man, what have you done? Well, everything at 1112 is trash. We don't even know. We have no idea the dates and the timestamps of any of that stuff. It was wiped. So then you try to rebuild it. From the cloud, if you formatted something, and what that means is that there has to be, where's it showing that you did that? But it's like, no, we're gonna act like that didn't happen. Fucking no, these people are crazy. This is so crazy. Oh, they weren't digging in places to find the weapon. I can assure you that. They were really doing the soil samples because they just want to be able to use it in court to say that why would he be using, and then it traced back to being from Pennsylvania. Atlanta, this is the show Botched. LA edition. This is crazy. They did the same thing to an innocent man named Dan Moore. Dan Moore, innocent man. Innocent as fuck. Like, so innocent. Like, ridiculously innocent. And they made up a motive. So if they made up a motive in his case, which was, Brian Drake was stealing patients from Dr. Moore, and so he just went over there to, scare him and shoot a fucking gun, a bullet through a window. The fuck? Dumb. Absolutely dumb. That's not the motive. Meanwhile, Dr. Drake's getting calls from meth dealers just minutes after he was shot. How about that? So the same people making up this motive. So if they could do it in the Dan Moore case, what happened in 2020, to make up a motive, they made up a fucking motive. Okay, to then frame a dude. 2020, to create an illusion that this man, okay, who's running and lives a family, has been living in Bonner's Ferry and is super successful there. Okay, and then some womanizer comes to town to basically get away from his wife, who's fucking nuts, to see patients and sleeps in his own office. Okay. Has money issues since Nam. Really good looking guy. Seems like he'd be a lot of fun. Really sad that he died. But everything points to the wife putting a hit out on him. Okay. Thanks, Mark. And so if they can create this motive in this case to get all eyes off of the cops and their involvement with the meth and the distributing of it and the drugs, and there was a huge big drug bust just after Brian Drake was murdered anyways. If they can create it with that, the same people from Idaho State Police that were working his case in 2020, 2021, are the same people that worked the Idaho4 case in 2022. You think, I mean, come on. They made up all that shit. And now here we get to this case, and it's in front of our eyes. They are lying about everything. And nobody signs up for that. Nobody knows, because nobody ever sees these reports and what they're writing behind the scenes. So when you think that you're helping and here, yeah, I'm just providing you this, you have no idea that you're part of whatever they're doing. And so if I know, just like the people don't, if you have the same people investigating and doing the work that you had in the Brian Drake, Dr. Moore case, in this case, then it tells me everything I need to know. You have to just dig down into all of this shit, and the truth lies all in these documents when you pull it all back. It's just going to take some time, but I think we can do it. So we just got to keep requesting the material, keep watching these videos. If you see something that I miss, that's why I put all this shit out there. Truth and transparency. I just don't tell you guys about it in a 30-minute video. I don't tell you about it in a 15-minute video. Truth and transparency is because I'm not trying to work over anybody. Here, this is where I get the material from. Here, this is what it says. This is how I interpret it. If you interpret it a different way, awesome. Let me know about it. If you see something, speak. If it has an idea to say like, oh, hey, can you go and get this? Remember back when this happened? You know, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to have the real cahoons, you take your theory and you try to blow it up. So everybody's on this whole, the chimes, and that look at 1, 2, 3. Well, then fucking go get the material to prove or disprove what you're saying. That's what I do. So what I just do today, go back and listen. I call up Methodist Church, United Methodist. I want to talk about this bell, this historic bell. Like, let's talk about this bell. Let's put this shit to rest. Let's find out. Because you heard me say at 12 o'clock, are we going to hear 12 bells? Boom, boom, boom. 12 seems excessive. At 9, are we going to hear 9? So do the work and then show it. So if we're asking the cops to show their work, I'd be asking the people that you're listening to show their work. And here, I do just that. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. I'll be back later. Boom. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you, lurkers. Thank you, members. We're coming for that ass.